Welcome to the Writer's Corner, and in this upcoming series, we'll be going through our recommendations, our shows, movies, and other media like video games, books, and graphic novels, and so much more.
Enjoy the writers discussing our recommendations, and we hope that all of you guys check out these recommendations for yourselves.
Each video we will be discussing a specific genre, and we will be saying live action and animated works.
And we hope you have fun watching and learning some shows that will interest you. Now on to the video. Here are the rules.
We can put both animated and live action stuff together and not its separate things. Same with musicals, cartoons, family movies, foreign movies, and video games.
It has to be the main genre of the movie or show, like if it's shown as an action, then it's under action.
And we can't mention too much of a movie or a show if it's already previously discussed. You can only mention it.
Now on to the video.
Okay, I'm just gonna recommend a game. It's called Kingdom Hearts.
Yep, I had a feeling this was coming. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's a Disney-based game, of course. It's you play as a character named Sora. He has the ability to wield a thing called a Keyblade, where he get to close or open doors that are magical. And he goes to different worlds, which are Disney-based. Like, you get to go to a world that's based on Toy Story or Tarzan or The Little Mermaid or Sleeping Beauty or anything. Yeah, you go to each world, and some of them sometimes even follow the story base, the movie. That's pretty cool. Like in Mulan, you get to actually experience this the story with Mulan as Sora with Mulan. And it's pretty interesting. I love it. And you get to have the Disney characters in your party, which is cool. And they have really interesting abilities. And anyway, the whole plot, aside from Sora going to different worlds into different Disney worlds, there's actually a weird thing where he has to fight these things called Heartless, and apparently the Heartless are like eating each world, and every character are losing worlds, and they sometimes had to like be in one world together, which is a world called Traverse Town, and that world is just a world where all the characters that lost their world get to stay. Like Pinocchio is there, and the Dalmatians are there, and then also Final Fantasy characters are there too.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard about Kingdom Hearts, I was like, that just sounds like the strangest idea ever of mashing Final Fantasy and Disney together, but it worked. They were able to do it.
Yeah, they are able to do it, and it's actually pretty interesting. And you just follow a story that is an entirely new character, and his whole goal is to actually find his friends, where he lost his world and he had to look for them. And he just joins with Donald and Goofy to look for their friends. Which for Donald and Goofy, they're looking for the King Mickey is who they're looking for. And and then along the way they just meet really strange people, like this organization called the Organization 13, and this villain called Ansem in the first game, and he's actually a Heartless to an existing character called Xehanort. It's a very complicated series now that I think about it. It's almost as complicated as the Fate series now that as well. Oh gosh. Oh god, what have I done?
Well, you don't need to like explain every character or anything, but
no, it's just that the lore of it is very confusing.
Yeah.
Like there's even characters that is like outside of Sora. Like before Sora, there was like these three knights that are called the Keyblade wielders, and they were just yeah, they also travel around worlds and they serve this Kingdom Hearts people. I forgot now.
I'm just thinking of like the executive or writer who would have had this idea in the first place. Who was like, okay, I want to come up with a story. Final Fantasy meets Disney. Yeah, that'll work. And like just imagining someone pitching that too, like Final Fantasy meets Donald Duck.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, I totally recommend that series. It's really fun. You get to like interact with all your favorite Disney characters and some of your favorite Final Fantasy characters, and have a good time. Yeah, because why not? You get to have a good time, which is great.
Yeah.
You even get to hang out with Winnie the Pooh.
Nice. Live out
Which
your
is
childhood
very
talking with Winnie
his
the
world
Pooh.
is very portable. You get to carry his world around because it's in a storybook.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Alright,
Oh, is it my turn now? Yeah, the next thing I want to recommend is another movie I grew up with as a kid called The Secret of Nim. And it's a 2D animated film, and it's about talking mice and rats. And the basic idea is that the rats and some of the mice ended up with human intelligence because they were experimented on by a institute called Nim, and it gave them the ability to be able to read and open doors and that kind of a thing. But like Nim is still like this evil entity to them that they have to avoid, and it sort of got like fantasy elements to it as well. The main character is a mother, and her son has pneumonia, so she's trying to look after him, but they need to move because the plow will destroy their home, like the farmer's plow. But she's trying to figure out how to move him because even like if he even goes outside and gets too cold, he could die, her son. And at the same time, she's ends up meeting the rats, and there's a whole plot going on there, and she has to appeal to the rats to help her move her home. But yeah, I like the way it's animated. I like the way it looks, and has a lot of nostalgia for me. And it has and good music too.
Yeah, and it's made by Don Bluth.
And she meets this goofy crow named Jeremy.
Oh yeah, him. I remember. What I like about that film is how they used a different type of protagonist. It's like she's one of the rare ones.
yeah.
Yeah, for an animated film. Like she's an adult, older lady.
Yeah, she's a single mom. You don't see that often in stories.
Yeah,
and kids stories too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And what else? What else would you like about the movie?
Oh, I mean, I don't want to get into spoilers. I like all the characters. I like Jeremy, and I like the part where she goes to see the great owl.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
That part's kind of scary, but it's
also, she went through some things.
Yeah, because her husband was killed by the cat dragon.
Oh yeah.
And he was one of the mice that escaped from Nim, so he had the ability to read, and it also gave him longer life too. So that's part of the tragedy, is that if he had lived, he would have still been young when she had already grown old.
Oh yeah, that's really sad.
But yeah, it's a really cool movie. I definitely recommend it.
I remember the sequel.
Yeah.
There was
Wait,
a
I don't-
weird
Oh yeah,
sequel
the
with-
sequel.
with her.
Yeah, I
the
saw the
sequel.
sequel, but I don't want to remember it.
Don't remember.
The sequel is weird because they like tried to turn it into a musical too.
I heard that.
Oh yeah, I
yeah. What's
remember
with Don
that.
Bluth's movies being turned into sequels? I mean, into musical sequels.
Musical sequels that's unnecessary.
Yeah, like The Land Before Time. Like the first movie is not even a musical, and then suddenly their sequel is like a musical. So suddenly,
yeah.
like, oh god.
Oh my god, I tormented my parents with those movies.
That was great.
Yeah.
I was a Land Before Time nerd.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's funny. I remember the dolphin movie. The one in The Land Before Time.
Oh,
Yeah, it
I kinda
was a
forgot
weird
that one.
movie.
I never saw that one.
The one I remember that I tormented my parents with was the one where they meet Chomper, who's a nice sharp tooth because
Oh,
he's
yeah,
still
I saw
he's
that
still a
one.
kid.
That's
But
the sequel.
Oh yeah.
The second movie. A nice sharp tooth.
Nice sharp too, because yeah. 'Cause, you know, that's
anyway,
how
yeah,
that's how life works.
I don't know how we ended up talking about The Land Before Time. Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But
Because we were talking about like sequels that became musicals for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird. It was a weird time for our generation.
Yeah, weird time for Don Bluth movies too.
Yep.
And then the only other musical animated thing that Don Bluth made was Anastasia.
Oh
That was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know where to put it. Is it fantasy or is it
I feel like it's movie under drama, so you can talk about it in the drama series.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put that in drama.
Yep.
Because my list is super short. So
Yeah.
When
So let's see. Okay, so I guess I can talk about more webtoons because that's literally the majority of my list. More.
Yeah, maybe I should do like 2 at a time now so that
Okay.
we
yeah.
end up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
So
should do
okay,
that.
a lot of these are like okay. So the first one that I have is My 3 Tyrant Brothers. It's basically about this girl who was a slave for most of her life, and then she gets discovered by one of her brothers who is a tyrant, as the title says, and she's apparently she's actually a missing princess that was one of like their father's children because he has a lot of wives, and apparently the other wives were jealous of the other wife, and so they kicked her out while she was still pregnant with her, and that's how she became a slave. And so now she's like trying the brothers are trying to figure out which of the mothers are did it when it could be all of them because they are tyrants and they'll literally kill their own mothers because of that, and they also want to protect
Wow.
their newfound sister. And so yeah, I find it really sweet that they kind of have this like bond already, or like they're growing a bond with her because of how their experiences are kind of like messing up, how it's all messed up and such. And also they're trying to also break a curse that apparently any woman who gets in close contact with the family either like dies or has a tragic death. But then since they have a sister, that all changes. And so because she hasn't died for because it wouldn't, because the series would end after that. So yeah. Anyways, that's one webtoon. Okay. The next. Okay, I'll just go over the next one. I gave birth to the Tyrant's Child. And so this is about a soldier who disguises herself at a festival, and then she doesn't realize that she accidentally slept with the emperor of her kingdom, and then she got pregnant, and then she runs away trying to hide like her children, but then the emperor kind of falls in love with her for some reason, and things happen, and it gets all like dramatic and stuff. It should be in drama, but it's more of a fantasy because of how like there's a lot of magic involved, because how the woman and talks with the emperor is not really like normal, because they somehow for some reason they're able to talk to each other in their dreams, and there's a lot of magic involved. And it's really interesting because of like, oh yes, because now they have to like figure out how to live with each other and with their children now. And while the woman's getting harassed by other nobleman woman because, oh my gosh, she gave birth to the emperor's children and such. So yeah, that's how the story is. All right, cool, ready, done too. Okay,
it's Twilight's turn.
Oh, yeah. My turn now. All right. So the first one I recommend is Escaflowne, the anime. It's about a girl who gets transported into a different world. Isekai, somewhat. Yeah, well, actually, it's an isekai because yeah, she did transport to a different world. But how she got transported there was she was trying to confess her love to a guy from high school, but by doing a track run because she's a track racer. But during her track running thingy, just to impress her soon-to-be boyfriend, she gets stopped by some weird dragon that suddenly appeared in front of her, and then a boy from a different world who has to fight this dragon. So her and the boy she's with and her best friend are there too. They had to experience this whole dragon fight with this, boy that just came out of nowhere. And they had to keep it. They just experienced all this, and they just watched the main girl get taken away from their world, and it's really weird. And she wakes up in a world called Gaia, and apparently in their world, Earth is their moon, which is interesting, and it's called the Mystic Moon. Our Earth. Yeah, that's
it kind of reminds me of the script you did.
Yeah, I just referenced it. I took it. I'm sorry, And their journey is pretty much a prince who just lost his kingdom, and he has to fight his brother to become the true king. And they just go on a journey and to find this thing called the Escaflowne. No, they didn't find it. They have it. It's just that they are going to be using it for battle. And there's a lot of fantasy stuff, world building, and Hitomi has to figure out to go back home because she doesn't belong there. And yeah, she just discovered some things about Escaflowne and Vaughn, and I think they started falling in love with each other. But yeah, and she even finds some items from her world in their world. It's pretty interesting. But yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Do you want to do a second thing?
I guess and the second one. I guess I could talk about Three Kingdoms. It's also an isekai. It's like an old classic isekai where the female protagonist gets transported into the world. They don't have to die.
They don't have to die. Because a lot of isekais, they all either die.
Yeah, it's like all the isekais in the 90s are girls and they don't die. Just to transport into a different world. It's about a girl who got chosen by some unicorn, I forgot his name, to be the next ruler of this kingdom because she somehow resonates with him, and in that she gets transported with some friends in that world into that one. And the funny thing is that when people from our world gets transported to that world, they can't understand other people from that world at all. They can't talk to them or interact with them. And it's pretty much heavy world building, I have to say. There's a lot of discrimination between that too, from the people of Earth and the people in that world. It's just if they can't interact with each other, they just started bullying them, I guess, because of course. Of course. And the girl has to figure out how to be the best ruler because ruler to this one kingdom that the unicorn wanted her to be. Like if she's a bad ruler, she ages. She gets to live forever, but she gets uglier and older looking. You know, just
So
how badly you ruled the kingdom.
Mhm.
Yeah, because before her there was a ruler. She's she was a ruler who fell in love with her unicorn dude because he can transform into a human, and she falls in love with him. But how she rules the kingdom was like really bad. She's pretty much a tyrant, and her unicorn gets sick. Oh yeah, that's another thing about ruling a kingdom in that world, is that if you're ruling really terribly and you're aging really bad, then your unicorn partner gets really sick. And then so the main character has to figure out how to be a good ruler to, have a prosperous society and stuff. It's pretty cool. I recommend it. And also you get to experience different stories. It's not just the main protagonist you get to know the side characters too, which is cool. Nice. And what else? And the main protagonist, it turns out that she's not born from Earth. She's actually born from that world. She just somehow got transported to Earth somehow.
Oh, okay.
Her hair is red. That's how you know.
Her hair is red, that's why.
Yeah, her hair is like naturally red, and she's an outsider, even on Earth. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her friends, they are affected by the world they got forced into. You get to see how they interact with the world. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mine. My two
Nice.
recommendations, the two classic isekais that doesn't require death.
That doesn't require death at all.
You just get chosen or get stumbled upon into the world. And
Yeah. Alright, whose turn is it?
I guess is it mine?
Is it yours? I think it's yours. Yeah, it's yours.
Okay. Well, next thing I'm going to recommend is a Stephen King book that's called The Eye of the Dragon. And most people associate Stephen King with horror, but this is more of a medieval fantasy. And it's like, it's dark, it has like unsettling moments, but it's not written specifically as a horror. It's like, it's a dark fantasy. And I've only read it once, like I've already forgotten a lot of what happens, but it's basically there's like two, if I remember correctly, there's two brothers and there's like a plot, and it's I'm butchering the explanation of the plot, but if you like a dark medieval fantasy,
fantasy?
Yeah, it's like I think it's got like magic in it, and it's got like obviously dragons exist in it because there's like this dragon trophy on the wall, if I remember correctly. It's different from the other books that Stephen King has done, because usually he does like horror books that take place in the modern world, but this is a dark fantasy. It takes place in medieval times, so it's like a departure from his typical, but it's got like the supernatural villain as well. And it does like kind of, the villain connects to the villain in some of his other books. Like, I think it's technically the same villain that's in the Dark Tower series and in The Stand. Because a lot of Stephen King's books connect. Yeah, sorry, I did not explain that very well, but...
Oh yeah, well, I still want to read the books. It sounds interesting, though. What was it? I've been planning to try to pick up a Stephen King book in a while, but I never did.
Yeah, well, look, it's like... If some of them are kind of scary, but this book is, like, if you don't want to be too freaked out or scared, then might be the better one to start out with, but...
Okay, yeah, I want to pick that one up.
But yeah, it is like different from a lot of his books. It's written in more of that fantasy style too.
That's cool.
Yeah.